What's up, my Flatland Rider buddies? I'm Jean-William Prévost. My friends call me Dub. I run Iggy Flat BMX, IGI BMX, Iggy, I got it. You know what it is. I'm out here. Outside is a great day. But summer is back. Flatland is back on its feet, at least in Canada. The people of Canada still in curfew. 9:30 p.m. every night. Go home or get fined $1,500. That's what it is. Little crazy times to be alive. Kind of a tamper on the inspiration. You know how it is. Like, it's just a bit of a different time. That's for sure. Recently there was an announcement about, actually it's already a month ago. There was an announcement about UCI World Championships taking place. And I think it took a bunch of people by surprise and kind of wondering like, oh, really? Now? Is this happening at this point? And looking into it, it is not necessarily the easiest thing to take part in. That's just kind of what I wanted to talk about because like it's a little crazy. Like the budget kind of like quadrupled if you actually want to go out and compete. So this is happening in France. It's organized by the same people behind FIS, and it's sanctioned by the UCI, which is Union Cycliste Internationale, which is the federation that brought BMX freestyle into the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, legitimizing the whole competition process and the sport and the athletes as it takes them there. And in 2017, they started with the first year where they were kind of overseeing things. And then the first official year was 2018. And then 2019 had the first UCI World Urban World Championships. And then 2020, nothing happened except EFIS. And then this year, kind of a last minute announcement for this Urban World Championships 2 months ahead of time. Kind of weird. I don't know what to think about it. I looked into it and it's really not feasible, but let me tell you what it would be like if I actually wanted to go. So for example, and this is like, I might be wrong in some places because I've heard different things from different people, but it would start with, before even being able to go to my flight, I would have to get a COVID test and it would have to be negative. And it would cost somewhere between $100 to $200 to get it within that time period, like to get a guaranteed like a COVID test result. And that would be before leaving, and then I would have to get another one on arrival over there, which would have to be negative as well, which I don't know if it has a cost, but let's say we're like at $150 at this point. And on arrival in France, from my understanding and from my research, is that I would have to do a 7-day quarantine. And I just understood also that France was reopening to tourism, but that there still is a 7-day quarantine when you arrive, which is obviously to your own expenses. And I calculated like a €50 a night minimum for a hotel, and then €50 a night, €50 per day for food. So you had like €100 a day, $700 Canadian, 700 euros for 7 days, $1,000 Canadian just for that quarantine process. And you're like, damn, I just want to go ride my bike and do this event. And just think about it, like you're trying to go compete and you have to sit in a hotel for like 7 days. And I guess there's just so much visualization that you can do. I mean, us overseas riders are probably more affected than like European riders. Which is also part of the surprise why it's called like an international worlds, because I mean they could have done a European championship, would have been more relevant at this point considering who can actually show up and what they have to go through when they arrive there. But I ain't complaining, man. I think this is great. Like I think that like just try to get the ball rolling while you can before you get shut down and all that. But anyways, like just think of it as in like, look at how much it costs to actually go there. Like at this point we're like at like 1,100 something, and then the hotel and food for the time being on the contest, which is from like the 5th to the 8th, but let's give it like 5 days. So approximately also another $1,000. So another 1,000 on that, and then let's say the contest takes place, everything is fine. Um, when you leave, then you have to do another COVID test, whether it's that has to be negative as well. I don't know if it costs something in Europe. I don't have that information. And then another one when you come back to Canada, which I don't think costs anything. But on arrival in Canada, you have to do a 3-day mandatory COVID hotel quarantine in Canada, which is something between 1,200 to 2,000. I've heard 2,000, I've heard 1,500, and I've heard 1,200. So let's say 1,500, let's put it dead center. So at this point, we're probably around 3,000 something. And even if you tested negative, and even if you're showing no symptoms, nothing, you still have to do that 3-day quarantine in the government chosen hotel. And after that, you still have to do 14 days of quarantine at home. So you're literally like a whole month on the road for this one weekend event. And like tallying it all up, like, oh, I didn't even put in the plane ticket, you know? I didn't even count that in. Like, that's another 1,000 to 1,500. So you're looking at about like $5,000. And it's like, okay, I understand a lot of like more wealthy riders, for them it's nothing. I could afford to go as well, but that's not really the point. The point is, like, this is only opening a door to the most elite flatland riders in the world. And like, money in flatland has always been kind of sparse, you know. There's some that have some big sponsors and do what they can to make money here and there and make the best out of their career and life and riding flatland. But it's just unreachable, I think, for 99% of flatland riders, if you know what I mean, because I traveled around the world and I saw like the situations of most riders is not all that jolly. And the more you ride, I guess, the more time you spend on your bike, the less money you're gonna make, because that's just what it is, you know. With time, you just gotta ride as smart as possible, not necessarily as hard as you can, because you also need your healthy physical body capable of working and making ends meet in the other spheres of life, because flatland is not necessarily what pays the bills for most people. And just how crazy is that, you know, how much money you need to pay just to get to the event. So that kind of trips me out. But the part that trips me out the most is like the 7 days at the hotel before like even competing. That just kind of like, that knocks the opportunity and the possibility of me going just out of the park, because yeah, fuck that, you know. But then you get there, and I mean, I guess like local riders can just pop up and do the contest, and then in a matter of fair play, I find it a little bordering the unjust type of conditions, if you know what I mean. Just especially from, like, I understand the whole money part, but like the having to sit, and I could go earlier, but then it's more money, which is like kind of crazy as well, which I don't really plan on doing. But yeah, even just before getting to the flight, they have to stick something up your nose and scratch the back of your head like that. Like, what do you think about that? Like me, I find it insane. I understand the safety purposes of it and all that, but there's risk in living your life, you know. Like, there's always going to be some risk. But I used to travel a lot, so I could easily complain. It was like only like 15 to 16 countries a year, all the way until early 2020, when we were in Chimera Games, and we started seeing like troves of Chinese tourists arriving at the airport where the contest was taking place. And we were kind of alerted for the first time with the whole mask thing, and everybody was wearing that. But yeah, that's just what it is. So I just wanted to put that out there so people knew that it may not be as easy for everybody out there to go and compete in this event, you know. So maybe consider the fact that it might be a bit premature within the context in this current realm of competition. So I thought I would just put that out there, you know what I mean? If like people didn't realize, because I see the post and I don't see any prize money announced, and then it's like I gotta dish out $5,000 for what opportunity, how prestigious it is to take part in it. And not only that, got in touch with the federation, and they also had no information about the selection process and all that. So I think it's just important to speak up, and I just want to do it. And I don't think it's wrong. I think it's just people just see the post and say, "Yay, let's go! Woohoo! It's gonna be so much fun! Contests are starting again, and this and that." And it's like, I understand the whole like trend of being positive and like always having a smile on your face and being stoked at every moment possible, but like there's also a little lack of being real sometimes, that I just I'll sprinkle a bit of that onto the current circumstance, you know. Not that I am scared in any way of catching a cold or whatever, you know. It's really not about that. In other spheres of how things have been going for me for my writing, it's like also not entirely contest focused, and it's like to turn on the switch just to compete one contest and turn back off the switch for the next one in September. It's kind of like it is really opening the door to only a certain type of writers, you know, like which I could be part of if I decided to, but it's just like a realization that I've had like in the past few days, where it's like this is really just going to be like the like a contest that will select the best writers out of a handful of people, which have most probably been there already for the past 10 years. So it's just kind of like a closed loop circuit, if you know what I mean. But aside from that, I wanted to show you guys the new IGI stem, which just came out. This is like I was talking about it in the last flat system, and it's called Riri because Juan was spending so much time here, and he just kept calling me like Jin Riri, and I call him Juan Nini, and that was like our quarantine names, or so what, or what do we have here. And yeah, so I just made a little box, very simple. Oh, you got mandatory face sticker, you got Ben Hudson, and simple little box just so that it had something to protect it. And yeah, so this writer from Quebec, which is also a machinist, designed this a long time ago, 12 years ago, and I decided to well, with his permission, to rebuild it, because I always like how you had like this round part in the back, like the part that you're the most exposed to is actually like very, very clean first. Like aesthetically, I really like what it looks like. It's just kind of like a little jewel of a stem, and it's compact. It has 6 bolts, but all stems have 6 bolts. Just that for example, the middle 2 bolts here, they're short. So let me show you. So they're like small bolts. Really, this is just to keep your bar angle in place. And they are 5 millimeter Allen bolts, which are called like M6 for some reason. I don't really get why they would call it that. And then you have the back part, which is attached to the front with the 4 longer screws, which are like 3 times as long as the first one in the middle. And yeah, it's a 3-piece stem, so the middle part is a wedge. And just wanted to take time to just show how it's built and give the specs out loud, so people who can only listen and don't have time to check out the net. So yeah, see, you have like the 4 longer bolts, then you have like the wedge part, which is cool. I really like how it's built. And then so basically there's no thread in the middle section, and they just slot in and they tighten. So when you're gonna, like, for example, you could take your bar right now, like not on the bike, put your bar in, tighten it on first with these 2 little bolts, and just set your approximate angle. But then you would have like something to work with when you're gonna install the stem on. Let's say your steer tube would be like a little ovalized or stretched or whatever. Sometimes you're gonna use like a bit of strength with your bar to put the stem in, but this one would go in pretty easily, I would think, because it's in pieces you can open like that, so that's way easier. So yeah, it's made of 6621 aluminum. we got it anodized over there. Aaron Frost at Sequence made these. So these are cool. Called them the Iggy Riri stem. Thought it would really fit with the whole IGI vibe. Especially with the round back part. And it's like a repop, but this was never produced. It basically stopped at the prototype level just because no one really went into investing and had access to the machines, and it was just a little complicated back then. So yeah, I'm really stoked to have this opportunity to make it. And I got a couple in black, and I got like just a handful in polished silver. So you can hit me up. I put them on eBay. You can hit me up at info@iggybmx.com if you would like one. Shipping is really not all that much. I just quoted someone to France. It was like 26 Canadian to France, so that's okay. And so that's it. It's only 200 grams. It's 43 millimeters stack height and 39 millimeters at the narrowest and 49 at the widest. And I kind of I'm really looking forward to see what this stem is going to look like on the Homegrown Love handlebar. I can't wait to see that. I've been thinking about like that combo for a while. I can't wait to take a photo and post it and show the world what it looks like. I mean, it's cool to still put like flatland parts out there. This is kind of rare, and I mean, IGI to me is just always going to be like a pure flatland brand, and it's always going to be focused on a very purist portion of the flatland market. Very niche, like a niche in a niche of BMX, but this is what I love to do. This is what I like to do. Like tricks and parts has always been what I enjoyed doing since I was a kid and got into flatland. It seemed like that was always the most exciting stuff. Like new tricks and new parts and just waiting for your parts to arrive through the mail or whatever and checking the tracking if you could. Back then I don't think you could. I remember ordering my first bike from Dance Comp, and that took forever, but yeah, that's the vibe. That's the IGI vibe, or I got it, or whatever you want to call it. But I appreciate that you guys tune in. Another thing I wanted to mention is if you want to get like some titanium parts, like custom titanium frame, handlebar, any idea you have for a titanium handlebar frame, even a fork, brake mounts, no brake mounts, different width, height, whatever you want, we can make it with Far East Cycles in China, and I can help you process that. So you can hit me up for that. They've made some titanium turbo frames, which are dope, and others with like a bent down tube for some clients in China. So there's some cool options out there if you want to reduce weight. Obviously it's gonna have a bit higher of a price tag, but you can hit me up for that if you're interested in something like that. And yeah, that's about all I had to say, and thanks for tuning in to Flat System 005. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you want me to talk about next time if you're interested in this little podcast. You guys have a good one.